welcome back. You're still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salailo Mokwidira, and we're going to be turning our attention now to one of South Africa's most controversial and emotionally charged trials, the alleged ISIS-linked murder of botanist Rodney and Rachel Saunders. This week, a Durban High Court judge has firmly ruled that no further delays will be tolerated in the trial of Bibi Fatima Patel, her husband Saifuddin Del Vecchio, and co-accused Mosa Jackson. This comes after years of legal maneuvering, adjustments, and serious health and incarceration complaints laid out by the defense. For many, this case symbolized a long, painful fight for closure, but it also raised deep questions about prison conditions, mental health, and whether justice delayed has become justice denied. And to help us unpack what this latest judicial ruling could mean, I'm now joined by Khadija Patel, the sister of Fatima Patel. Khadija, assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah so much for joining us this morning. Really, really appreciate you giving us your time, even though it's in very, very difficult circumstances.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for having me online this morning.
No, the pleasure's all ours. I think we can jump right into it. This case has spanned for so many years now. Can you give our listeners, just a bit of insights on how these delays and adjustments have affected your family, and also have affected your sister also?
Okay, so this period has been an extremely challenging time for Fatima as well as us, the family. Fatima has been kept in solidarity confinement for 8 years. For 53 hours, she's locked up in a small holding cell with no proper human interaction. Mentally, physically, and psychologically, it has disturbed her. Fatima also complained of sleep deprivation, nightmares, depression, and emotional strain. The human mind is not set to tolerate 8 years of confinement. And Fatima has been able to attend to her mom's funeral was a real blow on her and her mental capacity. And since 2021, Fatima has been denied her dental health work. From 2021, we've been trying to sort Fatima's teeth out, which is severely decayed, and she's unable to eat or chew properly. And the state and the station have continuously lost her paperwork. It's amazing how it majestically just disappeared. So for me, this is a gross human rights violation, and it's also
That's very true. And I think, one thing that's very, very important to note is the fact that this case in particular has received extensive media attention and sometimes even sensationalized due to, the ISIS-linked context of it. How does the media narrative affect your family's experience of the trial so far?
Okay, so with regards to the ISIS thing has been dropped a year into the case because there was no affiliation. All they could pin was because they had a flag with La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah pinned outside the area in the yard, so they pinned it to ISIS. That was no proper evidence to link to ISIS. So the ISIS thing has been dropped. It's very terrible on us as the family members because we have to face the public on a daily basis, and this takes a major toll on my dear's health.
In your view, and maybe what you're gathering from Fatima's lawyers, what has caused these repeated delays? Is it purely legal tactics, or are there systemic issues at play when it comes to South Africa's justice system?
Well, I wouldn't understand why this case would take 8 solid years. Some may argue that the accused refused to go to court on various occasions. The accused have not been going to court probably for maybe two years at the most, 3 we can argue, because of the mental state. I mean, why would it take the state to round up a case more than 8 years or 8 years? I don't understand. It's like we don't have proper evidence and we're just pulling this issue for whatever odd reason only God knows.
What message do you want the public to take away about the need for justice and vigilance in your sister's case, the whole Ummah, the community in itself? Is there a message that you'd like to send out to those that are listening at this current moment?
So for me, my sister's not just a headline. She's a human, and we're all trying to navigate through this incredibly painful and complicated time. We also believe in allowing the justice system to do its stuff, but we also want the people that have been guilty of such crimes to be brought to book. My sister had no affiliation with the murder. She did not murder anybody. There was no evidence or weapon or murder weapon or DNA proof that she was at a crime scene. So I don't understand why she's been held for such a long period of time, and this case hasn't come to end. Also, she's been, as you know, on the 10th of November, when they were asked to go to court, Fatima did notify EFT members and the wardens that she was not able to go because of her mental capacity. Two EFT members came up, they forced her, they dragged her, they pulled her, they strangled her, and she's a Muslim girl who covers herself up, and her scarf was taken off, she was strangled, she was beaten, and her clothes were taken off. I mean, what kind of human rights violation is that? I mean, this is South Africa. We are a free country, and things like this go down in the prison. Maybe at least today I probably have airspace to voice this. But what happens to also other inmates that are in that prison that go through things like this? Stuff like this really need to be brought to book. So when Fatima went to court on the 10th, the magistrate did notice that she was not okay. And then he questioned what happened. Also, she had no clothes to go to prison. I mean, to court. She's a Muslim girl that covers herself. You stripped her of her clothing, her dignity. That's a gross violation. So her inmates gave her some clothes to send her off to court. But that's totally ridiculous. So at this point, Fatima's mental state is very, very sensitive.
And when was the last time you spoke to her? And how was she? How were her spirits? Was she in a good condition?
Okay, so the last I visited Fati was in July. After that, they declined her of any visits, any calls, or anything. They even threw her belongings away. There was a search in her cell, and after that, they treated her really harshly. She was not allowed home calls. When I did call the facility on many occasions, all they can tell me is phone Mom Key's there and speak to her. She's the head. When you call that number, there's no answer. There's never an answer. So I haven't spoken to my sister in the longest period ever, and now she's gone to court. So the last time that I did see her in July, she wasn't doing well at all. She was emotionally very drained, mentally very drained, and just hanging in there, basically.
And what's the latest now regarding that court ruling, that judgment? Is there any kind of action that will be taking at this current moment? Will she be facing her day in court? Where to from here?
Okay, so currently the court case is still continuing. Fatima is appearing in court. So we also understand the court's position that this case needs to be rounded up and we all need closure. So that's just about it.
No, most definitely. Khadija, we're going to leave it on that note. Jazakallah so much for chatting to us, and I hope we chat again soon as the story continues to develop.
Jazakallah.
There you go. Khadija Patel, sister of Fatima Patel, who's currently in prison, awaiting a day in court for, I'm sure you've heard about it by now, that very, very controversial murder of botanist Rodney and Rachel Sanders, and the long convoluted trial of those that are accused, including Bibi Fatima Patel. If you're just getting hold of the story now, well, Rodney and Rachel Sanders were a married couple who had a dual South African and British citizenship, and were celebrated botanists. And in February 2018, they disappeared while on a seed hunting trip in northern KwaZulu-Natal. And then later on, their bodies were identified with heartbreakingly vivid forensic details pointing out to a brutal killing. Fatima Patel and her husband Saifuddin Aslam Delvacchio and their associate Musa Ahmed Jackson face charges of kidnapping, robbery, theft, and the double murder of the Sanders couple. And the case has been doubted in controversy. Prosecutors say there were ISIS ties in their defense. The accused argue the terror links have been exaggerated. And a witness also testified that Delvacchio tried to convert him to Islam months before the murders, and chilling messages about killing the kuffar or non-believers was alleged shared over WhatsApp. And over the years, the trial has faced multiple delays, from legal consultations to health and incarceration complaints. But the judge has now said enough is enough, no more time for delays, and there will be a day in court to unpack this and hopefully to find closure to this case. Otherwise, we've come to the end of this segment. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be having our hashtag Fired Up segment.